Jag sag Erik Hamran på Maxi Lindenhagen idag.
First thing I have to do is get my clock out of the room. Hang on a sec. I've just seen that.
Oh, so there's no ticking. Just take the battery out.
It's a really loud one. It seems the cheaper the clock, the louder the ticking.
Well, you think it should be the other way around? Like I paid a lot of money for this clock. I should get really loud ticks.
No, it's not. It should be more understated, though. It's really like tick, tick, tick.
Just reminding you as every second of your life ebbs away.
That's right. You paid too little for this clock. It's like bang.
It should just go $2.99, $2.99, $2.99.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
So Tim and I have decided, because to do a special half-baked idea episode, because we feel like most of our ideas aren't quite there. So we're going to just throw a few of them out there and see if we can workshop them together.
That's right. See, well, there could be some gold in each other's list that we can't see.
Yeah.
Although you've got quite a job ahead of you looking down my list.
Really?
There's several here that I have looked at that have come to me at random moments where I've stopped everything, gone to my phone and put it on my notes. And I'm now looking at it going, where did I find the enthusiasm for that idea? Like, why is this idea written
What do you mean by you stopped everything? It was like during a sermon or something? Or?
No. One time in particular, I was in the laundry doing something in the laundry and I put down what I was doing, washed my hands, went and found my phone and wrote it down and then went back. I can't remember what I was doing, polishing my shoes or something, I don't know. But It was that good an idea. And I'm looking at it now. I can't even remember which of the ideas. It must have been one of the more recent ones down the bottom.
Oh, so you put your newest ideas at the bottom of the list, not the top of the list?
Yeah. I scrolled to the bottom of the list and typed them in.
Oh, right, yeah, because I have an app where you just put new things at the top, so, yeah.
No, okay. Like if you're writing a novel, do you just start at the top and then every word replaces the one beforehand, pushing the start of the novel to the bottom of the page? Is that how you do it?
Maybe that's how Memento got written. Like the guy just didn't know how to use a word processor.
That's right. That's right. There are those very clever novels, aren't they, that you can read forwards and backwards. Was it one nominated for the Booker recently?
Well, one of my ideas for the Unmade podcast was a podcast that was a palindrome from beginning to end, remember?
Oh, indeed. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You didn't win the Booker Prize for that, did you? It was
No. I obviously not, considering my co-host can't even remember it.
No, that's right.
All right. Who's gonna deliver up the first half-baked idea?
All right, I'll go first, seeing I feel like I have the most. And if you hear this, if this idea is so half-baked that you're like, I'm not, eating that, because it's to carry the metaphor a little bit, I'm not even touching that, then you just say, yep, acknowledged, pass, and I'll just move to the next one, okay? So that's...
Okay.
That's
likewise with my... Likewise.
All right.
Acknowledged.
That's right. That'll just save people skipping forward, when they're listening later on. So,
okay.
The first one is just called I Always Do That. And, this is the one that came to me in the laundry. I know what I was doing now because I was pulling my jeans out of the washing machine and discovering yet again that I'd left tissues in the pockets. And I said, I always do this. And I honestly, I did it yesterday again. And I wrote this a couple of weeks ago. I always do that.
Yeah.
A, do you do that? And B, do you want to talk about this? Or is it you just want to acknowledge it?
I do sometimes leave things in my pocket. Yeah, in the wash. Yeah, the thing I have a lot of those with are typos, like common typos, like tay instead of the, and thanax instead of thanks.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like there are certain typos I do every single time. You'd think, well, how many times do I have to make that typo before I unlearn doing that? But yeah, I mean... I have a million things like that. You should probably be interviewing my wife for that podcast.
Well, that's true.
Brady always does that.
It's hard to self-reflect, isn't it? But yes, your partner is a good person to identify these things. When it comes to the jeans, I'm putting them in and I always think to myself, I'll just throw them in. And then I stop, no, there will be a tissue there. So you check, and it's a hassle, right? So you check the first pocket at the front, you check the second pocket at the front, and then you go, surely there wouldn't be a tissue at the back. It's, it's like a slim pocket back there, so I won't worry about it. Sure enough.
I won't even look. That's right. It's almost more cognitive load to not check, to think about it and not check, but still you do it.
I'm still trying to shave those seconds out of my life of the task.
It's almost like you're playing chicken with the washing machine. We're like, yeah, Russian roulette with pockets.
It is
and
Russian
tissues
roulette.
instead of barrels and.
It is Russian roulette. I can see a James Bond film climaxing with a moment where there's like Dr. Evil and a massive washing machine. James Bond and his washing saying, all right, are you going to put it in?
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to get tissue all over your jeans.
That's right. And he'd be like, what? That's almost more annoying. That would be frustrating.
Are these your Fabergé jeans that you're putting in?
No, those are long gone.
They're long gone, your slim fit Fabergé.
There are a couple of jeans that are, for some reason, turned very slim fit, like when I put them on now. But they sort of, they wear in during the day.
I can tell you that reason, Tim. It's called KFC.
That's right. But but these jeans, like all the others, are fitting fine. But these ones they've shrunk somewhere. But what they do is they only shrink early in the day.
They've shrunk, have they? They've shrunk. Okay.
But what I find is I know, like around about lunchtime, I go, oh no, these are okay. This is fine. And so next time I have to remember going, oh, these are tight. These things have quote unquote shrunk again. But then I go, oh no, they'll be fine. Like by the middle of the day, they wear in or they stretch.
It's like that with underwear or socks with holes in it, and you're like, well, I'll wear it just this one last time, and then I'll throw them away.
We do push our clothes to the very limit.
I've got a couple of questions about your jeans situation. By the way, I think this is a perfectly good idea. I don't think this is half-baked. This is top shelf by our standards. I've got a few questions, though.
Yep.
One is, why have you always got tissues in your jeans?
Well, because I've been using tissues. Blowing my nose or... yes, well, I can't think of any other reason. Dabbing.
But I guess. I mean... And why don't you throw the tissues in the bin? Why do you put them in your pocket?
I don't know. I think it might be because I'm in the car.
Okay.
And grab a tissue or... I'm not sure. Yeah. Why have I always got tissue? I actually have some spectacular handkerchiefs.
Yeah.
These really awesome handkerchiefs. A couple of them are from Dad because Dutch people have these really elaborate sort of bandana sort of handkerchiefs. Ginormous handkerchiefs, almost like a bedspread. And they're red and beautiful and evocative. And I've got a few of those that literally were Dad's and I've held on to them. And then I've bought others and my wife's bought. So I've actually got wonderful handkerchiefs that I should be using, but they're all folded away for safekeeping. But they would do far less damage in the wash.
There's something about like inheriting handkerchiefs though that seems like I'm sure they're lovely, but thinking, wow, someone else blew their snot into this and now I am. Like the tradition continues.
They don't get a high rotation. I have kept those and I kind of keep them because they're Dutch. They're quintessential. But
they're more ornamental.
Yes. Although I have to say, to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure which ones those are anymore. I just know that there's two in there that I shouldn't use and I should use the others, but I'm not sure which one's which. So I just sort of get down to two and, those are Dad's. they're special. Right. But
I don't know which ones are the sentimental family heirlooms that mean a lot to me, but they're there.
They're there as long as there's two earmarked for that purpose. That's right.
Yeah.
And no, one I can actually. It's quite faded, and yes, it is sort of strange. I've been going through sorting out and throwing away a lot of things that I haven't thrown away before, and perhaps it's time to let go of the handkerchiefs. But I do have some nice ones too, and I should bring them in and transition off my addiction to tissues.
Yeah. Another question I have is, do you very often wash money when it's in the pocket of your jeans?
Yes, not often, but again, I did that this week.
Right. Not often, but I did it this week.
Yeah, I did.
Like, not every day, but, I'd probably lose $100, $200 a week.
just notes floating around everywhere. Doing my money laundering. In Australia, as you know, the $2 coin is particularly sort of chunky but tiny, but very small.
Yeah.
And they're often forgotten and in there.
It's so disappointing when you drop a $2 coin on a hard surface, isn't it? Like, if it falls out of your pocket onto, like, bricks. It makes such a terrible noise. I've never forgiven the $2 coin for that.
You don't like it? What do you mean? It doesn't chink. It sort of is a bit more.
Yeah, it doesn't make that
thud.
clangy noise. It makes just that kind of dull, silly noise.
Yeah.
It's an inferior coin.
I remember when it came out, and I remember looking, going, "That's bizarre. That's weird. Surely that can't be it."
And it's so small. Like the £2 coin, that's a good coin. But the $2 coin in Australia, no. No.
Well, next time you're over here, if you get any, man, just hand them over. If you're not happy with them, just pass them on.
Yeah, well, $2 doesn't go far these days anyway.
I generally don't have, like, I remember back in the day putting coins into my wallet, but I barely have coins anymore. I mean, there's a few in the car for the kids to use, at their school canteen or for some purpose.
What can you get for $2 these days? Give me a feel for it. What will $2 buy me? What does a can of Coke cost in Australia?
In Australia, I don't know. Well, I've just bought a nice coffee, as I do when we're recording. I think it was $4 or $4.50. So
Dollars?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
But you might get 2 for $6, so it's one of those. But they are expensive. So a Coke, I imagine, would be about $3 or something.
Oh, I've been out of Australia for way too long. I'm still like an old man when I come back to Australia with those prices.
Well,
back in my day, you could buy a pound of sweeties.
Your British pound is still holding up quite nicely at the moment, so don't fear, man. You're not falling behind. But yes, no. Australia is quite an expensive place to live, particularly compared to the US. That's for sure.
Have you ever washed things like? Do you often mix your colours up and put something like bright red in with all the whites and make all your white stuff go pink?
No, I'm very vigilant on that. I'm extremely vigilant. Yep. For some reason, that's something I'm very careful.
That's your superpower.
It is. It is. I take extra time to make sure that. And that's time I could be spending checking those 2 back pockets of my jeans for tissues.
Exactly. You need to reprioritise there.
I have a whole bunch of white T-shirts, like about 8, and they're all exactly the same, and I wear them around the house, and every now and then... I've got a couple other ones sort of that I wear under shirts in winter, but they all, they get done together. They're like a little family of shirts that get done quite separately to everything else. Yeah.
Right. Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. What about you?
No, I don't have a group of white T-shirts I wash together. I'm disappointed to tell the civilians. I do make the mistake from time to time. I reckon about twice a year I will wipe out some of my light-coloured clothing because of a stray fresh garment bleeding its colour. Yeah.
But generally that happens mostly when you first buy it, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But that's the problem. Like, little admission here, someone else actually does most of my washing. We have someone that comes in once a week and she does the laundry for us.
Right.
So if she doesn't know, I'm not blaming her because she won't know if something's new. So if I put something in the wash that I've just recently purchased, like that's bad on me, but that is often what results in it.
So you don't take, when you buy something, you take it home. I immediately take the tags off and chuck it in the washing machine. You don't do that?
Oh, no, I don't do that. That's interesting.
Do you wear it before you've washed it?
Yes. Is that bad?
Well, I don't know if it's bad, or if it's just bad because Mum said not to. Like, bad,
If your mum said not to, then it's bad.
Like, don't go swimming after you've eaten, sort of bad. It's probably not bad, but it is bad. Certainly Mum told me not to do it.
Don't hang out with Brady was another one your mum used to always say.
That's true. That's true. He doesn't wash his clothes properly.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I might run that. Let us know, civilians in the Reddit. Do you wash your clothes before you wear it? It's probably good practice, to be honest.
I just assume it could have been tried on by someone else. Not that it really matters, but it comes home. It's kind of like just initiating it into the home and to the family. So I give it, good wash down.
I feel like that first wear of something before it's been washed and that was like the thing it's as good as it's ever going to be.
Oh, right. No, but it's all stiff and weird, and the creases are sort of in the wrong places. And
fair enough. Interesting.
Anyway.
Interesting.
There we go. So there we go. I think we've sucked just about everything, squeezed everything out of it.
Do you know what a good podcast would be, Tim? A podcast just about people talking about doing their laundry. Like, we're still going. I've got a million questions. We're learning new things about each other that we never knew.
I thought that would be impossible. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So,
I've known you for a million years, and I didn't know that you washed your new garments before you wore them. This is whole new information to me. This is the first new thing about you I've learnt in years.
and I don't do it when I am doing the washing. I do it like that night when I get home. Like, it's almost part of the purchasing experience. Like, I get home, take the tags off, put it in the wash. You got to wash it straight away, hang it out. There we go. Now it's ready to join the family. There we go.
Chuck a couple of tissues in there for good luck.
That's right. That's right. All right, now you need a half-baked idea.
No. Do you know what we need now? We need to mention our long-suffering sponsor, Hover.
A half-baked advertisement for Hover. Is that
Another half-baked advertisement for Hover. Who deserve better. They deserve better than us.
They do. Gosh.
But, they're stuck with us now.
Sometimes I feel like they're sponsoring us. They're adding credence.
Yeah, they are sponsoring us, Tim.
Sorry.
Did you think we were paying them money every month?
For the privilege of mentioning them. Sometimes I feel like we're sponsoring them, So
Yeah. Anyway, let's pull this bandage off. Hover is the place to go to register domain names. If you don't know them by now, then that really does show how badly we're doing our job. Go to hover.com/unmade or use the promo code unmade. And when you register domain names with them, you are going to get 10% off your first purchase. I am a full-on Hover user. I cannot advocate them highly enough. In fact, just quick personal anecdote, I just recently moved a domain from another registrar that a family member of mine was using, was having all sorts of problems with, and I said, enough's enough. I spent ages dealing with them because they're a terrible company, and I moved the domain across to Hover, back into my Hover family, because that's where your domains belong.
Nice work, man.
Yeah.
That's a powerful anecdote.
And Hover make it really easy to move your domains over to Hover. They've got really good instructions of how to do it and stuff. So if you've got domains elsewhere, now's the time to move them across.
I don't feel like I've got anything to add, man. That was a powerful story. And
No, they should make a movie of that.
you could sell the rights to that.
Yeah, just drop us an email at the Unmade Podcast if you would like to buy the rights to the movie of the day that Brady removed a domain name from a rubbish registrar across to his much loved Hover.
Instead of Saving Private Ryan, it's just saving friends' domains by bringing them across to Hover.
That's right.
Hover is the Tom Hanks of domains. Going out, finding domains and bringing them home. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then at the end, the domain's just sitting in my Hover basket saying, tell me I've been a good domain.
That's right.
Thank you, Hover.
Thank you, Hover.
Thank you, Hover. And keep an eye out for that film as well, people.
All right, come on, let's run through these a bit quicker. I want to hear a few half-baked ideas.
Seeing you mentioned the patron saint of the Unmade Podcast,
Yes.
Tom Hanks.
Yes.
My first idea is inspired by the man himself, because he recently, as he was recovering from his medical mishap while in Australia, he tweeted a picture of him and his wife having Vegemite, which went viral and caused a storm and got everyone talking about Vegemite, the famous Australian spread, for people who don't know it, most commonly put on toast or sandwiches. It is a savoury, quite bitter flavoured spread that looks black. It looks a bit like tar. Australians love it, but it is a real love or hate type condiment. And my idea for a podcast is called the Vegemite Podcast, where people who have never had Vegemite before come onto the podcast, have some Vegemite with us in various ways, on a crumpet, on some toast, wherever, and tell us what they think about it.
There you go. I love Vegemite. Do you have access to Vegemite in the UK?
Yes. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can get it. I order it from Amazon. There's always at least 2 jars. And my wife, who is English and takes great delight in belittling Australia at every opportunity and telling me how silly Australia is. Like, that's just the way it is. Even she has been brought around to Vegemite, and I sometimes catch her having a sneaky Vegemite on toast, and it makes me so proud.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love it too. My mum is very strong. Dad, I don't think ever had, maybe a little bit of Vegemite, but mum particularly, marmalade and Vegemite every morning. And
not together, I hope.
No, on separate, like 2 pieces of toast. Yeah, very separate.
Yeah. Tell me your Vegemite technique. What do you most like it on, and how do you have it, and talk me through it.
Well, when I was young, I had a saying, with that I would say the same way every day to Mum when she asked me something. So, like, for instance, she made Milo, which is a drink, in a particular way that made it taste like it was hot Milo gone cold again. So basically she put a little bit of hot in and then lots of cold water. So it was sort of like you'd had a hot Milo, like a hot cocoa or something like that. It's gone cold again. So my entire life, she'd say, what would you like to drink? And I'd say a hot Milo gone cold again.
Yep.
And she'd just make it that way. When it came to Vegemite, she'd say, what would you like on your toast? And I'd say Vegemite whipped the way I like it.
Okay.
What she means by that is just a huge amount of butter and Vegemite just sort of, splattered all over the place. So it's not even and it's not minimal like some people have it. It's a lot of Vegemite just
so you have a lot
because
that picture Tom Hanks tweeted was criticised for having the Vegemite laid on way too thick, and I have to say I agree.
Oh yeah,
it was too thick.
Yeah, no, he's clueless. But what we had was like instead of you don't have it thick and even like that. You have it thick in bits and pieces. So I'd have it. There's a blob over here, and a blob.
Like little undersea volcanoes poking out from the ocean of butter.
yeah. You're in fine form tonight, man. You could sell that too.
There's another movie.
David Attenborough's Vegemite. That's right. And then over here, there'd be a little bit of butter. So the butter's sort of... So I saw it whipped the way I like it. There's just splatterings of butter and uneven, Yes, as you say, craters.
There has to be a lot of butter or margarine or other spread. That is a key part of it.
Very much so, yeah.
Do you like Vegemite on crumpets?
Not as much, rarely. My crumpet go-to is honey. I love honey.
I have one Vegemite, one honey, like the honey one's dessert.
Oh, yeah. Which one do you eat first?
Usually the honey. Because it's there and honey's amazing. No, I do eat the Vegemite first. I'll eat the Vegemite first. Sometimes I'll have 2 Vegemites, sometimes 2 honeys. But you always have 2 crumpets.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of monster has just 1 crumpet?
No. Imagine going through your day having had 1 crumpet. You'd just be furious, would you?
That's like wearing 1 shoe.
That's right. I'd hate to get into an argument with someone after having had 1 crumpet. You'd be like, just look, I'm sorry. I've just had 1 crumpet. I'm just a bit emotional at the moment. Yeah, it's incomplete.
It also creates an unevenness in your pack of 6 because if you have them in pairs, you have 3 square meals. But if you have 1 and then you start having pairs, you get to a point where, like, oh, hang on, there's only 1 left.
Yeah, that's difficult. And you have to go out and buy another set and then... You have to have 3, really, better to have 3 than 1. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. 3 crumpets is an extravagance, but hey, we've all been there.
That's a big meal. That's like if guests have come over and you have to, having 3 crumpets.
Well, sometimes you'll have 2 crumpets and then you have 1 crumpet as a chaser.
I've been known to regret that 3rd crumpet, though. That's...
One for the road.
That one does tend to sit there for quite a while.
Oh, man.
I have, as a segue, I have Tom Hanks on my list as well. I've just got here best films of Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I know he's never made a bad film, but,
That's a niche podcast. He has made a bad film. Have you seen The Circle?
No. I read half the novel and got bored with that, so I'm not surprised the film is, not very good then. You're saying it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, right.
What's your favourite Tom Hanks movie? Oh, we've moved on to another podcast idea here, clearly, which is the idea.
Yeah,
What's your favourite Tom Hanks movie?
Oh, it's really hard to nail down, actually.
I'm going Castaway.
Really?
I love that movie. I never get sick of it.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
I like the premise of it, but I don't totally love it actually as a film.
No, I liked it. I really like Forrest Gump. Obviously, Apollo 13 is a good movie.
Apollo 13 is a good movie. I showed that recently to the kids and really loved it.
What did he get the Oscar for? He got Philadelphia. Well, he's got 2 Oscars, hasn't he? Or
Yeah,
just
and
got
Forrest Gump in a row.
That was Best Actor, Forrest Gump, was it?
Yeah. So in like 93, 94.
I'm surprised that got Best Actor, but yeah.
I actually love You've Got Mail, which is just that romantic comedy.
And Sleepless in Seattle's great.
Yeah, and I only saw that recently, actually, because I just never got around to it, which is crazy. But yeah, The Terminal's a pretty average film.
Yeah, that is average. Big, obviously, is a classic.
Yeah, Big's a good movie. That's a great... In fact, I think he was nominated for an Oscar for Big. That's in early... Most of his films in the 80s weren't very good. There's Turner and Hooch and all that sort of stuff.
Turner and Hooch is all right.
Oh, yeah, but it's, it's sort of that sort of throwaway comedy in the 80s. Road to Perdition isn't a bad film, but not a great film. There's another one, I've forgotten the name of it.
Yeah.
I'm browsing through here and I can't find it. The Green Mile, that's quite a good film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that film. Actually, that might be high on my list too.
And I feel like I'm forgetting one else. One other film.
The Green Mile's not great because of Tom Hanks, though. Like, he doesn't own that film the way he owns some of his other films. He's just, like, one of the solid actors in it. Like,
yeah. But he's totally believable, isn't he, as that sort of good guy guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'll tell you, Catch Me If You Can, I watched again the other night, and that's actually a very good film.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I thought it was just cute because of the premise of all the forgeries and so forth. But actually, Leonardo DiCaprio, who I actually really dislike as an actor, I find him unbelievable in most things he does. But he is very good in this as a sort of a kid trying to be older and, shaped by his father and whatnot. That's really good. There's Save It Private Ryan, obviously. That's a very good film.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. And he's great in that too. I don't think it's a big stretch for him to play just like a nice guy, though.
No. He's often talked about as the Jimmy Stewart of the modern era, and that's true. And I love Jimmy Stewart. He's my favourite actor, and he's very much like that. Have you seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighbourhood?
No, I haven't seen that yet. No. It's quite new, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's based around that show in America that we didn't grow up with in Australia, Mr. Rogers and so forth. Have you seen California Typewriter?
No.
This is a little documentary that he features in. And the documentary isn't great, but he's really charming in it. He's himself. It's a documentary, and it's all about typewriters and his collection of typewriters. And I really love typewriters. I know you do too. I've got a few old ones around the place that look really nice. And that's a pretty cool documentary to check out.
Well, should we go on to a half-baked idea of mine? Because I've got one that joins up to your one because it involves the Oscars.
Go ahead.
Because I was in the car the other day and I was listening to the song Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, yes.
It was Rocky 2, wasn't it, Eye of the Tiger?
I don't remember.
And I was listening to it and thinking, do you know what? What a great song. Like, it's a good song. Everyone knows it. It's got really heavy association with the film. Like, it really is a song of the film. And, I thought, do you know what? How can a song like this not win the Oscar? Because it's, such a heavy part of the film. It does its job so well. Years later, everyone still associates it with the film. So I thought, was it even nominated for an Oscar? And I looked it up. And let me just double check, but I looked it up at the time. And it turns out Eye of the Tiger by Survivor was nominated for the Oscar for Best Song. Hang on, let me tell you the exact details. I make a mistake, Rocky 3. But it was up against Up Where We Belong from An Officer and a Gentleman.
Yeah.
Which is, another classic film song. And probably, a worthy winner. And then it was nominated in 1983 for a Grammy Award, but it lost to Willie Nelson, Always on My Mind. Also, pretty solid song. And it did make me think, would it be a good podcast to talk about great, not that I'm saying it's a great work of art, but works of art or things that have happened that happened at the wrong time and therefore cost them? Like great films that would have won an Oscar, except it just so happened they were up against another great film that year. Or great athletes that came along at just the wrong time and happened to, lose to Usain Bolt for 10 years because they came along at just the wrong time. Great tennis players that happened to be playing when Roger Federer and Nadal and Djokovic are smashing everyone off the court. Like a whole podcast dedicated to the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. There's a few examples of that kind of thing that in any other era they would have been the greatest.
Yeah.
Well, the tennis example is an interesting one because there's an argument to say the 3 greatest tennis players of all time are playing right now.
Yeah.
And they'd own any other era on their own. You know, it's marvelous now, but yeah, that's true. They'd probably dominate any other era on their own.
But if you're also a really good player, like, I mean, Andy Murray has picked up a few Grand Slams, but the ones probably below Andy Murray around at the moment probably, would have won a whole bunch of tournaments at the moment, but no. They are the eye of the tiger of the tennis world.
What examples come up for you? What do you think of?
Well, it's hard to go past eye of the tiger, isn't it? The year after that, Flashdance, What a Feeling won. And that is very sort of eye of the tiger, if you ask me. That's like that genre of winner.
Yeah, that's a good fun pop song. That's for sure.
The year before that, it was won by Best That You Can Do from Arthur.
I never watched Arthur.
No, I can't think what that song is. But do you know what it beat in 1981? Best That You Can Do. I'm sure it's a great song. It was written by Peter Allen and Burt Bacharach, Christopher Cross, and Carol Sager. So it's probably a pretty good song. But it beat Endless Love by Lionel Richie and For Your Eyes Only. So, you know, that was a strong year, wasn't it?
It was. This year I didn't know any of the songs that were up in the Oscars this year. And but on the night you're listening to them being performed just once, and then you go, oh, which one do I reckon is the best song? And I didn't think the Elton John song was that great, which is the one that won, I'm Gonna Love Me Again. But I, for days afterwards, was singing the Randy Newman song from Toy Story 4, which is I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away. That's a great song. That's really catchy.
Listen to 1984. Tell me which you'd give it to out of these ones, all right? I'll randomise the order.
Yep.
Against All Odds, Phil Collins.
Yep.
I Just Called to Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder, which was in The Woman in Red.
Yep.
Footloose and
Kenny
Let's
Loggins.
Hear It for the Boy, both in Footloose.
Footloose, yeah.
And Ghostbusters.
Whoa, that's like a greatest hits album. That's fantastic.
That's a strong field.
I have a feeling, this is just from memory, that Against All Odds won, but I might be wrong.
I think that would have been my guess too if I didn't have the answer in front of me, but it was I Just Called to Say I Love You. Hey there everyone, very much in keeping with the half-baked nature of this episode, this is the point at which Tim's recording setup failed catastrophically. And the rest of the podcast is basically me talking with occasional snatches of Tim giggling or half phrases and really isn't worth listening to. But don't worry, we know a lot of you are stuck at home at the moment and it's important to have podcasts and things to do. So we're going to do our best to record some more episodes as soon as possible. We'll revisit the ideas that missed out on today's episode. And we're wishing you all the very best at the moment. And I'm sure if it was possible to hear Tim, he'd offer you the exact same warm wishes. We'll get his computer fixed ASAP, and we'll be back, so keep an eye on your feeds.